Hello and welcome to the Unit 1 micro lesson on macros. Aha, that was kind of interesting to use. And what I've done is I've already created the macros and I've kind of set it some different places so you kind of get an idea of what it's supposed to look like, and then we'll go through where that's concerned. Okay, so the very first thing I did is I created a macro. So if I go to my View tab right here, and then I'll have my macros here, and in order to record a macro, you'd click Record Macro. So and I'm going to do that real quick. So I'm going to do View, Macro, Record Macro. Now my macro is not going to be that exciting, and I'm going to call it Sample 2, right? And it's going to be this workbook. I could get a description of it. This is the second sample, it's called Sample 2. And I'm going to push OK. And all it does now at that point in time is it records. So if I do like arrow D, and then F, and then G, and then Tab, and then H, and all I'm doing is pushing buttons here. That's all I'm doing here. Yeah, and then return, and then arrow down, and GH. Okay, great. So there's my sum total of my macro. Now, if I want to stop recording, I push stop recording. Now, it's not that exciting. You'll notice it says D, F, G, H, J, blah, 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 blah. But the important part is if I hit this down drop arrow right here and I want to view my macros. Now, they tell you, hey, make a macro where it goes down 3 spaces, then do this, then do this. What you want to really get out of this is as you're looking at is actually go back in and take a look at your macro. So I'm going to go into sample 2 and I'm going to edit sample 2. Now this is my first one, right? This is I assign a keyboard shortcut Control S, right? But if you look at this is the second sample, you'll notice it's actually putting comments in there for my information. Those of you that have Visual Basic knowledge, it makes sense. And then as I go through, you'll see how it's activating certain cells, right? So here's activate cell formula R1C1, so that's the grid. I want you to push an F. Then I want you to go range C4, and I want you to select that one, and then I want you to put a G. So in each one of these, it's going through, it's activating this range and putting a value. And you can go through and kind of get a feel for actually what's going on where these macros are concerned, right? So then it wants you to do some other things. I'm not going to do all of that necessarily for you, but I want you to see kind of where it's at to get a feel for the way it looks. So I'm going to close this. And the way you start going into modifying is you take your mouse pointer up here, hit your right mouse button, and then you have a customize the ribbon and customize the quick access toolbar. Now that's still part of your challenge for this week, but you'll notice I have recorded a macro and I've given it this icon here, which is this information bar, or excuse me, this information icon right here. So if I click it, it then runs that macro. So all the selections, all the text that I've done, it runs that macro. So I'll do it again. Boop. Now the idea is to create a macro. You don't have to do the sound effects, but the idea is to create a macro that allows you to automate your process, right? So the other one that I added in is I actually added it on the toolbar. I have data, and all the way down here I have this macro bar, right, that allows me to click sample macro and does exactly what it is. Now it's up to you to kind of go through how to place it into certain areas and things along those lines, but you've at least seen how to record a macro, very, very basic, and how to place those macro icons in different locations. So that's a good start. I hope that serves you well so far. I feel that it's easy to kind of wrap your head around, but one of the things I have you do this week as well is to read the actual final project so you have an idea of kind of where you're going where that's concerned. So far so good. Let's hope it continues that way. Thank you very much for your time.